lovely people, Nina here. This week for my video I've decided to talk about sustainability and conscious book buying and sustainability when it comes to platforms and areas like BookTok or BookTube and overconsumption in those genres. So recently I've seen quite a few videos where people do book hauls and it'll be 200 plus books that I've purchased on Amazon, and it's a massive book haul. Are you actually going to be reading those books? Be so for real, because you're not, there's no way. And the idea of books becoming popular on BookTok and then the overconsumption of people buying them just because it's popular and it's a thing to purchase, but they're not necessarily going to read them. What? Why? So I just think it's important that with books that yes, obviously we encourage people to read and keep that going, but also read consciously. Are you actually going to read this book, or are you buying it to purchase a thing? Do you have books in your collection that you could read before that one? I don't know. There's also the issue of book subscription boxes, which I don't agree with. I think, again, that's really terrible for the environment. It would be one thing if it were just books that you were really interested in and that you're going to love, but I've seen a few, and they send other things with the books, products that maybe aren't necessary and end up leading to waste, going to the landfill. That, and also the idea of major publishers spending money to make different versions of book covers or book sprayed edges. I just, do we need multiple versions of one book? With various covers? No. No. So I don't know, I have a really big issue with major creators in communities who overconsume books. And if you are posting something like my 300 plus book haul from Amazon, first of all, you don't need, you're not gonna read all that. You don't need it. And Amazon, if you could, we need to be supporting local bookstores, local libraries, little libraries, borrowing books from friends, and not over consuming when it comes to books. And I feel the idea of book culture has grown into overconsumption and consumption culture, and major publishers have taken advantage of this and produced more in a gross amount more because consumers are purchasing it. And so I feel it's important to just sustainably and consciously buy books as much as possible. Like I said, I've talked about the novel Love Story, which, yes, I'm still reading. I'm getting through it. I really love it. But it's also not my book. I've borrowed it from my sister, and I think borrowing books is a great way to limit book purchasing and overconsumption. That way, too, you can share books with your friends or your family or what have ya, and you can it just feels it feels special because it's a little piece of them that you have. So yeah, I don't know, I just think that conscious book buying should be more of a thing. We should put more of an effort towards it and not be doing 200 plus book haul from Amazon, because first of all, Amazon is a disgusting, terrible company, and so we shouldn't be supporting them anyways. And then when you're over consuming on Amazon, no, it's not, no. So yeah, that is my little why we should be thinking about book buying and being more sustainable. there's that little piece. I also thought I would talk about a few books that I have about the environment, and if you want to check them out at your local library or get them from a used bookstore or a little library or borrow them from someone, then you could do that. The first one I've talked about multiple times, which is Greta Thunberg's No One Is Too Small to Make a Difference. I want to read her, she has one that's on basically like the statistics and the research done on climate change. My mom has it, so I'm going to borrow it from her. And it just looks really interesting. I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but she has one that she came out with recently with other like scientists and researchers on the environment. All We Can Save, The Truth, Courage, and Solutions for the Climate Crisis. I've talked about this a billion times before, but a book on what we can do about the environment and global warming and such. The Nature book. This one is, What Does Nature Writing Say About Us? And more urgently, what does it say without us? That's this one. The World Without Us is a book about what the world would look like without human beings. I think that's really interesting. And then my favorite book, literally of all time, this Song of Achilles, I think maybe Water for Elephants too, are like my favorite books to exist. This is the Anthropocene Reviewed, which is a bunch of like short essays on a bunch of different things, but there's one on like sunsets, there's one on human beings and worrying about like basically the planet dying and our conscious worrying. So it's not all about the environment, but there are things about nature and human beings in here which are really interesting. So Anthropocene Reviewed. I absolutely love this. It's by John Green, who you probably know from like Looking for Alaska or The Fault in Our Stars. He has a new book coming out too, by the way, but this is that one. So these are the books. If you want to look for them at your local library or in a little library, I'll probably, when I'm done, this is one of the next ones that I want to start reading, and my sister wanted to read it, so I'm going to give it to her when I'm done. And then I'll probably put it in my little library so someone else can enjoy it, because I feel like this is a good one to have in circulation and for multiple people to be reading. So there's that. And yeah, that is my little rant about, not rant, but just encouragement about reading books consciously and not over-consuming when it comes to book buying. Yeah. Supporting your local libraries, supporting your local bookstores, supporting little libraries, and yeah. So that is it for this week. Oh, also, I'm going to encourage you to vote, because environmentalism and voting go hand in hand. I voted yesterday. I early voted. I think most states have early voting open right now. I'm not 100% sure, but you can go to iwillvote.com and check to see if your state has early voting open, or a mail-in ballot. And you can go vote. It literally took me all of like 2 minutes just to fill out my ballot really quickly. And it's not just the major like presidential election, because that's obviously super important, but it's also your local ballot and your local people, because they make major decisions about the environment as well. So make sure you are researching to see who is in your like local election and like state election. And yeah, that's also important for things like school board and book banning. So make sure that you are voting. If you want to early vote, you can do that. Again, iwillvote.com. And make sure that you are looking at candidates who support books and who support the environment. So that's my little pitch. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a lovely weekend and a lovely week. And I will see you all next week with a brand new video. Bye!